How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another Roblox tutorial. So before we get started, I just want to say don't forget to follow me on my social media at SpooksHD on Twitter. Join the official SpooksHD Discord or comment down below if you have any issues. But the Discord is the best way to get in contact with me and with the rest of the community if you have any issues or if you just want to communicate and hang out. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and hit the notification bell to be able to get more of this season and more of this series and more of my tutorials. So anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and first off explain what is this series. So primarily what the series is, the series name is How to Make a Game. And basically each season I'm going to be telling you or showing you guys step by or episode by episode building up to the final result, which is basically making a replica or a simple copy of popular games. So this season is Jailbreak, so every episode we're going to try to take elements of Jailbreak and put them together into a framework and also into a world that we can have. So anyways, so that's basically what this series is. So anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and start off episode 1 of season 1 of How to Make Jailbreak. So basically, if you haven't seen the title yet, obviously it's how to do team choosing. So when you join Jailbreak for the first time, you have your camera moving, and then your camera moving to certain spots in the map. And basically, it's a bit blurred, but you have the option to go ahead and select. Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. You have the option to select police and criminal. Not criminal. You have the option to choose police and prisoner, and those are the two main teams that you could switch between. But criminal is one that you get for when you escape the prison. So we need to have these teams. Where are we going to get these teams? Well, if we go to model here and we go over to service and we go ahead and insert teams, which is auto selected, by the way, we have a team service, and this is how we're going to more so create teams. So we're going to go ahead and insert object, and we're going to go ahead and create a team here. And we're going to go ahead and let's just go ahead and name this police. And we're going to press Control D to duplicate. We're going to go ahead and name this prisoner. And then we're going to duplicate that by pressing Control D. We're going to go ahead and criminal. And there we go. Those are our 3 teams. Now, I've already explained what happens. Now, we need to turn off auto-assignable for police and criminal because you are auto-assigned to a prisoner team, which is what happens in Jailbreak. You spawn as a prisoner, but you have the option to go to police, and you can't be a criminal by default. So let's go ahead and assign them the relative color. So we're going to choose a bright blue color here. For prisoner, we're going to do a bright yellowish orange. And then for this, we're going to go for criminal, we're going to go with bright red. These are the colors I believe are used in Jailbreak. So now we have our teams. Let's go ahead and go into lighting, and we're actually going to create a object or an effect, the blur effect. And as you can see, it blurs the screen. So it doesn't blur the UI elements or the player starter GUI. It just blurs the environment here. It blurs parts in the skybox and such. So that's that practically. So now we have the lighting. Now we have everything done with what we need with lighting. Let's go ahead and create our UI parts. So we're going to go ahead and click this, or you could insert object, but this is a little bit faster. We're going to go ahead and insert a screen GUI, and we're going to name this UI. And now we have that. We're going to go ahead and insert a frame. I'm not used to pressing that, but it's actually kind of faster. So we're going to go ahead and insert a frame, and we want this to be positioned in the middle. So we have, our little points here. So we're going to go ahead and do 0.5, 0.5. And then we're going to go ahead and do 0.5 again, 0.5. And now it's in the center there. And we're going to go ahead and make this 0.5 in size. And then we're also going to make this we're going to make this a quarter in size. That looks great. That looks pretty good. So we're going to make that transparent because we don't need to see that. And we're just going to name this Team Choose. And then in here, we're going to insert a text button. And actually, I could just be using this, which I'll be using from now on. So we're gonna name this police, and let's change the background really quickly. This seems like trying to find a good one. This seems to be a good color for the. So we're gonna change the border size pixel to 2. So we got this border there. We're gonna set the text color 3 to white, and we're gonna set this to not semi-bold but light, and then text scaled. And we're just gonna need to make this say police. So that looks pretty nice already. So we still need a few more things to do. Like we need to center it at our position, the size. And we also need to change the size. So what first we're gonna do, because as you can see in Jailbreak, the buttons stay square. And that's perfect. We need our buttons to stay square no matter what our resolution is. So we need to go ahead and insert a UE aspect ratio constraint. As you can see, it got smaller, but that's because we're basically using the height here instead of width. So we need to set this to scale parent size. And now, as you can see, because let's say, so this is 227 or such, it will use this if X is larger, but we don't want that. We want to go to height, and now it's back to 50. So if we go ahead, and now we could set the size, so the width is 0, and then we can go ahead and simply make this, let's say, well, what's a good size? Maybe 0.65. It's a good size, and yeah, that's a great size. So we're going to go ahead and position this. So we're going to do 0.35, because at a quarter, it doesn't look too good, probably. And we're going to set this to 0.5. And as you can see, that actually looks really nice. And we can go ahead and press Control D to duplicate this again. And we could go ahead and set it to be like that. And, oh, I guess I clicked the wrong thing. There we go. And we're going to name this prisoner. We're going to set the text to prisoner. And then we're just going to put this at 0.65. And as you can see, now we have it like this on both sides, and that's perfect. But we still need to create a text label. So we're going to go to UE, and we're put text label here. And we're going to put that in here, and we're going to name that title. And we're not going to be doing any programming with that, so it's fine. But now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set the x-axis anchor point to 0.5, and we're going to do 0.500 right there. And then we're going to set this to 0.5, 0, quarter, 0. Or actually, no, we want this to set 0.15. So there we go. Now it looks like that. And we're going to go ahead and text scaled, set this to white, and make the background transparent, of course. And let's make it source sans bold. And we'll go ahead and do choose your team. And there we go. Now we have our UI. So that's perfect. So now you might be asking, well, what are we going to do now? And my answer to that is actually quite simple. So we need to program this UI, but how are we going to do that? And simply, we can do that just by going ahead and saying, okay, well, look at this. So we have a chooser team here, right? So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to put this somewhere where we can't see it. So we're going to turn off reset on spawn. And we're going to go in starter player and create a local script in starter player scripts. And we're going to name this client. And then we're going to go ahead and insert a folder, name this assets, and then just put team choose in there, and we'll access that later. So as you can see here, we have our UI element there, and it's like, okay, cool, it's there. But we're going to be using that later. So we have our assets here, and we're going to be accessing that from the client script. So let's go ahead and set up our player variables. So local player is equal to game.players.localPlayer, right? And we're going to have to set our character, but we won't be doing that yet. So we're going to go ahead and create, we're going to be doing that now, actually. So we're going to go ahead and do character loading. And we're going to do player.characterAdded, right? And we're going to connect it, and we're going to do function C. Now, what connecting does, if you're not familiar with it, is player.characterAdded is an event. And when we connect a function to it, when this event is called by Roblox internals, this function will be called as well. And the C is giving us the character object. And that's why we're going to do that. It's going to give us we're going to set the character to the character that just got spawned in. Now let's also go ahead and do some GUI variables. GUI variables. Depends on how you do it. I prefer GUI over GUI, but whatever. So as you can see here, we have it set to reset on spawn equal to false. So basically this means that we won't have to reload the UI every single time this loads in. It will always be the same. So as you can see, we have our UI variables, or GUI variables, there we go. So we're going to go ahead and do GUI is equal to player wait for child player GUI. So we're going to be, so when you join in-game, you will see that in the players service and under your player object, you have your player GUI, and under there is our UI and a bunch of Roblox UI. We won't worry about these though. We're more so worried about this. And so player GUI holds all those. It's this, but for the player. So now we're just going to access our UI element, which is simply under GUI, and then we're in our GUI, and we're going to wait for child UI. And there we go. Now we have it, the UI. So now we have our GUI variables. So we're also going to go ahead and load our assets. So we're going to do local asset object is equal to our script wait for child. So we're going to wait for it. And we're going to wait for child assets. And then we're going to do for AB and next asset object get children do. Now you might be asking, well, Spooks, what's the next comma asset object get children? Well, basically, when you call pairs and you do, let's say, X get children, right? Basically, that is converted into next comma and then getting rid of the pairs. That one bracket on it. So it basically converts it to this. It just returns that, and then also this as the third argument, but that's not used. So basically that's what it returns, and more importantly, we want to go ahead and reduce and make optimization stuff, and we want to remove that pairs and extra call of a function, which isn't needed. So now we're going to create another variable that I forgot earlier. Assets is equal to a table, and we're going to go ahead and do assets, b.name is equal to b. So we don't have to do a bunch of wait for childs everywhere. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go in here, right? And we want to go ahead and break this up. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the team choose function, and this is going to be called function team choose, obviously. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and choose is equal to assets, and then we're assets.team choose clone, because that's what we named our little UI, the container. So basically after that, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to set that to parent. It's parent to UI. And then after that, what we're going to go ahead and do is tween the blur. So basically, we're going to have to create that as well. So we're going to do service shorthand and or service shorthands, and then and basically we're going to go ahead and do local TS is equal to game get service. There we go. Game get service tween service. And what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to create a custom function for tween. It's going to be the time, the style, the direction, the properties, and the object. And we're going to go ahead and do TS create, which is going to go ahead and create a tween object so we can easily call it using play. And we're going to go ahead and give it our object. Then we're going to go tween info, not our own function, tween info.new. We're going to go ahead and give it the time. We're going to get an enum, and we're going to go do the easing style. We're going to access that. Then we're going to do enum game.easing direction D, and then we're just going to go ahead and give it our properties. And that's it. We've used every one of these variables in a compact tween function. So we're going to go ahead and now we're going to tween, and then we're going to add in the play early. And then we're going to go ahead and say, okay, let's say 1 second. We want to go into the sign format, out direction. And then I'll show what that looks like on screen going from 0 to 1. Show you what in also looks like. And we want to set the property blur equal to 24. Because what that looked like here, what we saw earlier was 24, and that's what we want it to look like as well. And then we're just going to give it game.lighting.blur. And actually what we should do is local lighting game get service and lighting. Now you could go ahead and just do game.lighting. Honestly, you should, because if someone breaks the game, they break it. It's not your fault. So anyways, so then we just go ahead and do lighting, and then that's going to tween it when we first join. Then what we're also going to go ahead and do is mouse down services, and we're going to go ahead and do prisoner down and police down is equal to choose UI, and this is why we made them just the names of the of the team. Mouse button 1 down connect function, and then we're just going to go ahead and go down, and then we're going to copy this again, and this is going to be changed with police. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is to change the team. You can change it locally, but it only changes locally and doesn't replicate, so we need to change that on our own. So we're going to have to do it with the server script service here. So we have our mouse down service, right? And then after, we'll quickly write something up here. So finished, and then finished is equal to true. Finished equal to true. And we're going to repeat wait until finished. So we're going to wait until we're done. And then what we're going to do is untween blur. I'm going to go ahead and that, and we'll set this to 0. And we're going to do that in half the time. And then what we're also going to do here is disconnect events, or disconnect events, there we go. And we're going to go ahead and do prisoner down, disconnect, just type correctly. Yeah, so we're going to disconnect both of those events. And then after that, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're just going to go ahead and delete the UI. We don't need it. So choose UI, destroy. And there we go. Now we're done. So almost done, actually. We still have to do the server side stuff. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. And let's go in replicated storage. And we're going to go folder, events. And then we're going to insert a remote event. And we're going to call this just event. You really only need one remote event and one remote function. You don't really need multiple. It's not really needed. And I'll show you why. So we're going to name this server. And we're going to do local events is equal. And we're also going to go local rep equals game.replicated storage. Then rep, so rep.events, and then local event is equal to events.event. Event. So there we go, perfect. And now what we're going to go ahead and do is event calling. So event dot on server event connect function, and I put 3 ends. I know I did that, guys. So player, and then we're going to do data. So if data.reason is equal to change team, then basically we're going to change their team to the team they have. So we're going to go ahead and do player.team is equal to data.team. And there we go. That is it. So basically what we're doing here is we're saying, okay, we're going to get the event object, right? And then every time a .on server event says, when we on the client want to send a signal to this event object, this function is going to be called. Now it's going to give us our player object, but it's also going to give us the data sent over. And we're gonna have, and the data is going to be a dictionary, and we're going to have a reason variable saying what our reason is. Now, if it's the reason is equal to change team, then we're going to say, okay, let us change the team for the player. So let's go back here, and we're also going to change the team. So we're going to go ahead and do that, but we want to do it in front of finish because it is a I believe it is a wait. I'm not for sure. It could be, but we're going to go ahead and do it front. So we're going to go ahead and replicated storage shorthands. So local rep is game.replicated storage, right? And then local events equal rep dot events, and then local event, or actually should be wait for child actually for this. So wait for child events, and then events wait for child event. And now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go here and we're going to do event fire server reason equals change teams. And if we go back to our server script, you'll see, oh, not change, yeah, it should be just change team. But as you can see, we have our reason variable set to that, and we're going to give our team, we're going to go ahead and do a little shorthand over here again. So local teams is equal to game get service teams. Then we're going to go ahead and just do teams dot, let's say, this one is for prisoner. And then we're going to do the exact same thing here, and we're going to make this equal to police. And now, if we go ahead and just close those out and press play, you should see that we do not get that, and I don't know why. I should probably just go check really quick. Let's see, is there anything that we made a mistake in? Because we're waiting and then waiting for that, right? Client, assets, the script, wait for child assets, and then... Oh, that's why, because we never called team choose, my bad. Okay, I'm kind of dumb. I didn't realize that we didn't do that. So now that we call team choose, you could see here and blur object. Oh, right, whoops, okay, that's also another mistake. I don't know why they didn't make it. They made it size, but yeah, there we go. So should just change the blur there to size. So now if we go ahead and press play, you will see that the blur happens, right? And now we can choose between these two. So we could go to police, right? And boom, now we're on the police side. Or we could go ahead and press play again, and we could go back. And now we can go ahead and choose prisoner, and we don't change. So that's pretty neat. So that's basically all we have just for this episode, is just the basic team choose UI. So we will halt player movement in future episodes and such, and we'll also do the player being able to switch their team during gameplay later on as well. But that's it for this episode. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed this, leave a like, and if it happened to help you, also leave a like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be aware of the upcoming episodes of this season. So, and if you guys haven't joined the official SpooksHD Discord, link is down in the description as always. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Screaming out, falling at me, falling at me.